detective, thrill me.
Thanks for joining us again. Moving in towards Christmas, but going non-Christmas, Jared. Here. I whipped this one up because I stumbled across it in my DVD collection.
Yeah. Then you forgot it was Christmas.
I forgot it was Christmas. This is 2005's Hostage. But before we get to that, what have we been watching? Jared, I have watched absolutely nothing apart from half of the new documentary on Stan about Ben Roberts-Smith, which is very interesting. Oh, no, sorry. I misspoke. We've also been watching My Crazy Obsession. Some guy likes to rock up to bodies of water and swim around like a merman.
Okay. Well, I will hear no derogatory comments about anything that I've watched then. That's
correct. What's that unbelievable. Oh, it's just some shit that, usually gets put on at night before we go to bed. And fuck me, you should see some of these people. Honestly,
I think you should be on there watching shit TV shows before you go to bed. That's your crazy obsession.
My crazy obsession is watching fucking hoarders. It's watching hoarders or some bullshit about fucking fat people or something like that.
God.
Yeah, I've seen a fair bit of shit, I must admit. But apart from that, I watch fuck all.
Right.
What about you?
So I went to the cinemas to check out Godzilla -1.
Oh, yeah?
Fucking awesome.
Yeah?
The best Godzilla movie that I've watched.
Was that was made not by Americans, correct?
Correct.
Oh, strangely enough,
Strange.
It's good.
And you know what the budget on it was?
Huh.
$15 million.
Oh, yeah, no. You need to spend $200 million.
No, well, they spent 15, and I can tell you there was still sequences where I was kind of blown away by what was going on visually.
Yeah.
And the effects held up fine. I mean, there was a bit of jankiness in the way that Godzilla walked at times, but overall, I thought it was fantastic, and it was a fucking great bit of story work in there. I mean, I haven't seen all of the Godzillas. I've seen all the recent ones, and I've seen. I've kind of bookended. I've seen some early ones, and I've seen the.
I believe
ones.
all the newer ones are kind of crap. Is that right?
They're fun. I like them for what they are, but none of them have a story as engaging as this, and they spend more time with Godzilla. I mean, this one was reasonably. There's plenty of Godzilla on the screen overall, but I reckon that's probably a lot less than what those ones would have. But the story around it was awesome. So
okay,
I highly recommend it. I loved it. So that was a good trip to the pictures. Except I took my son. He's a bit into the Godzilla stuff. And I said to him, I believe I booked tickets to the English dub, but it was subtitled. So he's fine with, he's in the age where he's easy to read the subtitles, but I told him it was an English dub, so we should be able to just kind of, lay back and take it all in, and then next thing you know, we're reading the entire movie.
Everything. Good work.
But it didn't dull the enjoyment. I think he was really impressed with it as well. He was a big fan.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I would definitely say check it out at the cinemas while you can, because I loved it. I went on to Paid in Full, which was another one of the it's kind of the Boys in the Hood type stuff. A crew of guys I'm pretty sure it was New York, set in New York. Got Wood Harris, Mekhi Phifer as part of this little crew that start running drugs, and quite enjoyed it. It was good. Okay. Good watch. Wasn't too long. I did end up with one Christmas bit of work in there, the new Diary of the Wimpy Kid one on Disney.
Oh, I didn't know there was one on Disney.
Yeah. They've started making the animated ones, which, not to go too deep into it, but they work better because they are animated.
Yes.
Having read some of those with my kids, making them live action kind of just took away a large portion of the comedy of it and the style of it all. So making them animated, some people fucking hate them, but I'm like, well, this is what the books were. It's pretty faithful to the books, and it's in the style of the books, which I think works. So that was a bit of fun. I finally watched The Final Rose. Ah,
yes.
Yeah.
Was it actually a slasher?
It was, yeah. But it was more involved around what was going on the TV show than much of the Stalk and Slash. The Stalk and Slash stuff was very short and sharp, very quick. Not a lot of prolonged chases or anything like that. Initially, I was loving it. Like they were skewering the whole production. You know, the producer was a real asshole. There was people working on there begging him to watch a short, and he's like, "Fucking stop talking to me," and all this sort of stuff. And then the host of the show's rocking up with, "Well, you know, back when I was in a theatre company in New York, we used to experiment and bounce off each other and all this sort of stuff." The producer's like, okay, "Again, get him away." So they were skewering the Bachelor, and I was absolutely up for that. It falls away a little bit. It's still there throughout the piece. That's the main part of it. But overall, it was quite enjoyable. I think if they really had to put the foot down on that stuff and ramped up a little bit of the gore and chase and whatnot, it would have been really, really cool.
Okay.
You know, the ending didn't really knock me over, but I thought it was a good fun watch. Definitely the best Tubi original I've watched. That's for sure.
Okay. It is a Tubi original, is it?
It is. Well, it's tagged as a Tubi. I don't know, maybe it was a Tubi exclusive, but I think they tagged it as a Tubi original. So, and from there, I spent the rest of my time at sleepaway camp. And I watched...
From the start?
No, I skipped the first one. I went to part 2 first.
That's got a jockstrap raid in it, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah, there's a couple of raids along the way at sleepaway camp.
That one's not too bad, if I remember.
Yeah, 2 was
correctly.
all right.
I enjoyed
quite
that.
liked it. And funnily enough, Pamela Springsteen was really good as Angela. She played it with this kind of childlike, you know, screws loose, but the whole time the cheery camper vibe and, you know, I'm here to, you know, I'm doing the right thing, I'm having fun and you guys aren't. So, you know, I'm going to kill you, but whilst I've still got the smile on my face and the third one was in a similar vein. I didn't really enjoy it as much. I found the problem with both of them was that it was pretty much just, here's the setup, and then she just goes one by one through everyone there.
Yeah.
But both of them were far superior to Return to Sleepaway Camp, which I also watched. I skipped The Survivor.
Yeah, that's the one made up of...
Yeah, it's made up of a lot of stuff that was already cut in, and I think it was basically unfinished. And
yeah, it was.
I mean, I found it, but I watched a couple of minutes of it and said, nah, I don't really think it's canon anyway, so I'm going to skip over and straight to Return to Sleepaway Camp.
So how was Return to Sleepaway Camp?
Shocker. Absolute shocker. It's got some reasonable actors in it too. There's one of the girls from Glow early on in her career. What's his name? Is it Vincent Pastore? The guy was one of the guys from the Sopranos and whatnot. And then they get a couple of the old characters back from the original. But it's just an absolute chore. They centre it around one of the worst characters put on screen. It's this kid that keeps getting picked on but then keeps acting like an asshole. Yeah. And it's like you're watching all this stuff go along and you're like, why are we here? Why are we still following this? And then you've got Ronnie, who is one of the old characters. I think he was a camp counsellor in the first one.
Mm.
And he continually is like, oh, I'm looking after him, you know, let's look after the fella. And then the guy just continues to act like an ass and does like the most ridiculous things and in a really, I don't even know, like the acting is cheesy but in a kind of grating way, and I don't know, it was a real struggle. Is there any gore? Not really. There's a couple of kills that are okay, but no, it doesn't make it any easier to sit through the rest of it.
I don't doubt that.
So yeah, I couldn't recommend that one. But overall, I was expecting 2 and 3 to be a real struggle as well. But I enjoyed both of them. So yeah,
I think they might be the more palatable ones.
Yeah, well,
they're
you can
very
go
much more down the straight slasher line.
Yeah, and you can go 1, 2, 3 and have an enjoyable kind of marathon through the three of them and leave it at that, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Although they're still talking about more sequels and remakes and whatnot.
I don't think it's there for that.
No. Oh, I don't know.
Unless you remade the first one and you had to keep that twist.
You got it.
By now everyone knows.
Yeah. And it's a real delicate one.
Yes. Back then it could have been, it was sort of ahead of its time a little bit in the way that was done.
Yeah.
But
even though there is still some issues around it.
Yeah, there are issues around it.
Most of the
imagine the issues now.
Movie. Yeah, exactly.
Jesus Christ, you'd have to be careful. So
yeah,
I can't see them remaking that.
I can't see them remaking
Not by the same
holding that twist and having it come out well. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Anything else?
That was it.
All right. Let's take a break. Here's the trailer for 2005's Hostage.
Hostage situation is unfolding.
This Friday,
I'm assuming command.
you don't get orders. The time to negotiate our kissing ass is over.
Let him go!
Bruce Willis. Hostage. Rated R. In theaters Friday.
Hostage from 2005. Directed by Florent Emilio Siri, who directed The Nest. It's produced by Bruce Willis, Mark Gordon, who produced The Day After Tomorrow, Arnold Rifkin, who produced Stag Night, and Bob Yari, who produced Crash. The screenplay is by Doug Richardson, who wrote Money Train, and it's based on a novel by Robert Cray. It stars Bruce Willis as Jeff Talley, Kevin Pollak as Walter Smith, Ben Foster as Mars Krupchik, and Jonathan Tucker as Dennis Kelly. The budget was $52 million. The box office was $77 million worldwide. And the reason Talley's relationship with his daughter Amanda, which is played by Bruce Willis's real-life daughter Ruma, is so strange is explained in a deleted scene that Amanda had seen Talley attempting suicide in a fit of depression. Now, I don't know how that fits in with what's on screen, but interesting to know there's some deleted stuff because my DVD was bare bones. She was as bare as bare. I don't even think there was a trailer on it.
She was like, "You're lucky to fucking have the
Holy
movie."
shit!
I
What's
live
this
with
doing
that.
here? Well, I remember seeing it and going, "What the fuck's this doing here?"
Yeah. I've still
It was on Tubi.
I've still occasionally come across. I dig onto the DVD shelf, and there's occasionally still one wrapped in plastic.
I haven't found one of those yet.
Like,
Oh,
oh
I
yeah,
can't
shit.
wait
I
to
forgot
find
I was intending to watch this.
All right, Jared. Hostage. Thoughts?
I thought it got off to a reasonable start. It's funny that you mentioned that because one of the things I really disliked about the start, I'll get into the specifics of it, but the relationship there was a little strange. Like I got what was going on, but there's a point where they fucking sit down and talk where I was like, this is really odd. I think it gets off to a good start and it's got good actors across the board. Like the guys, all three guys in the car have continued to work for good reason. They're all reasonable actors. So I think that stuff all works pretty well. I was reasonably engaged with how it was all going with the initial break-in. You always knew something else was coming, but the turn of two hostage situations coming at each other from either side is great.
Yeah.
Really cool idea. I don't think they get the best out of it. It does have a number of solid sequences, but down the stretch, there was a few decisions about who we ran with and who we focused on that kind of just made the movie go cold for me. So I settled on a 2.5. I mean, I think there was points where I was hanging at a 3. I think the direction's really solid in points, and I was right there, but just towards the end, it just took a bit of a dip for me. So I went 2.5.
2.5. Well, when I put this out there, we were both kind of like, this could go either way. It's fucking rocks and diamonds. Who the hell knows where this is going to go? Because neither of us could really remember it.
No.
And I don't remember it getting... I mean, I think I might have watched it one time.
I watched it once.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And it was just like... This is why I was so fucking flabbergasted when I found it on the shelf. I was like, why have I got this? Cause
Similar to when you go to your iTunes and Cobra pops up.
That fucking thing. You know what? It's like herpes. That thing will not go away. It's still there. Fuck. And you know what? You try and ignore it. Like Freddy Krueger, you try and turn your back on it and ignore it. But no.
But like Freddy, it keeps coming back to life.
Continues to come back. So I have some of the same issues that you have with it. But I actually think the first hour was awesome. Like, I was really, really engaged in the first hour. And I think they did a fantastic job of keeping that shit kind of understandable because so much is happening and so much is coming in. I was thinking, I know what's going on. Like, I do understand what's going on. I think the movie loses a little bit of its steam when it tries to go... It gets too complicated.
Yeah.
And it tries to go to the Bruce Willis action stuff. Whereas I feel like it works better when he's not doing that. When he's actually just engaging with the people and we're building
Yeah,
the tension
phone
of the house
conversations
and
and shit.
everything like that.
Yeah.
And there's one great sequence in the second half where I was like, we should have stuck with this. And I'll get to it. It involves Willis basically lying to the brothers about Smith's death and then trying to coax them out.
Yep.
That bit's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
and I
it
was
was
just
good.
like, it doesn't fit because we've gone in an opposite tone in the second half.
Yeah.
It's very stylish.
Yeah.
Really stylish. From the opening, from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
I love the credits. They look fucking awesome. Like, it's like a comic book. So I went 3.5. I actually really enjoyed it. And I think this was, to me personally, and these are his least successful period of films, but this is where Willis is at his best, I think.
Yeah.
When
Look,
he's playing the put upon.
to me, it wasn't far off. Like a couple of different decisions, and it could have easily been one of his better movies. Just a couple of little things. It would be far more memorable and I think would be a better movie if a couple of characters went a different way and whatnot. But I guess we'll get into that. And
All right, so out of the gate, pretty good cast.
yeah, across
Pretty
the
good
board.
cast across the board. You've got Bruce Willis, you've got Kevin Pollak, you've got Ben Foster, Jonathan Tucker. You know, you've got a nice little group of actors we would have seen, like we've seen around the traps playing some of the lesser coppers and that.
Yep. One of them was, mate from Trances, wasn't it? Art LaFleur?
Yes.
Was I mistaken?
Yes, he
was that him?
It was Art LaFleur. I thought you were going to say it was Tim Thomas.
I was hoping Thomason was going to burst into the station as Jack Death.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, shit.
It's a pretty solid cast. I actually got a bit of a rap to his name is Kim Coates.
Yeah.
He's in Last Boy Scout and a few others. Been around a long time.
He was in
very
Sons
good.
of Anarchy and had a prominent role in Sons of Anarchy.
He plays that shady guy. Just the vocal work and stuff is great.
Yeah.
Like, it's really kind of calm and chilling. Like, he doesn't fire up until later on. You know, he starts getting on the phone going, you fucked this up.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, he was fun. I was sort of aware of him around Sons of Anarchy, but in Sons of Anarchy, he's awesome. Yeah. Like, and he's in there for a lengthy stretch and delivers some fucking phenomenal performances. So, yeah,
really good
as soon as I heard the
character.
voice, I was like, I know that voice. So
He also gets his fucking nose punched into his brain. Fucking Last Boy Scout. One of the great sequences.
Oh, yes.
But it's a really good. It's a really solid cast, and I think that the performances across the board are pretty good. I've got one disappointing performance. I'll get to it, but it sticks out like dog's balls.
Okay.
As soon as it comes on screen, I'm like, oh god, on here. I think the general idea, Jared, the mentally scarred negotiator who's tucked himself away into a small burg somewhere, who suddenly has to break out those skills again.
Yep.
But not only for one particular negotiation situation, which in any language, in any good negotiator's book, he would have put that one to bed.
Yeah.
But then he's got the other one in the background that involves his family.
Yeah.
That it's a really great idea for a thriller.
Yeah.
It keeps ratcheting the fucking tension up and
Well, initially it was a pretty standard. I'm looking at it going, yeah, it's pretty standard. Got the the guy that's scarred that gets put back in the situation where he needs to call on that shit again. But you always knew there was something more coming. And when it comes, it's like you're on both sides now. So I thought putting him in that pressure cooker like that was a very good idea.
Yes, agreed. Opening credits. Loved it.
Yeah.
It's like a comic book.
Yes.
And the way they have the actors' names written on, like, buildings or sniper rifles and shit that. It was really cool. Like,
But the best part of it is that it then goes straight into the hostage situation, just like the credits. But then it pulls back and we get the shot starting on the guy's face, and then it goes through the window and we continue pulling back and back and back.
And then we see
until we see SWAT and police up on the top of the car park. That was just awesome.
Beautiful
Straight from
shot.
the get-go, I'm like, fuck.
It
this
really
is all right.
drags you right in.
Yeah.
It's, again, very stylish.
Yeah.
Very stylish stuff. This is my favourite scene in the film. The opening negotiation is excellent. Like, I just really love the way that plays out. He's cocksure as initially. You know, he's sitting on the phone. just calm down, mate. Everything's going to be fine. We're going to do all this. And he's telling the other coppers to fucking jam it up their ass and everything like that.
Yeah, no one dies today.
Yeah,
and
all this sort of shit. And then suddenly it just goes arsehole up.
Yes.
And that slow-mo sequence when he's coming down the stairs and he's listening to the guy praying in his earpiece.
Yeah.
And then he runs to the window and he's going, pray with me, like because he wants to bring him to the window so he can be shot.
Yeah.
He's basically pleading with the bloke because he knows he's just gone and fucked it all up.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. I thought that stuff was really, really well played.
Mm.
And then to find the kid dead and all that, just really, really well handled.
Yes, it was a pretty strong start. It really did hit the beats that you wanted it to hit. Like as you said, the style is there through most of the movie, including in that sequence. But the part where it escalates to him, sort of, as you said, yelling out the front of the house, it's like, yeah, we've kind of you've risen the tension very nicely there. So we're kind of sitting there going, come on, like. But yes, as you know, he's gotten to the point where it's all gone tits up.
Yep. And I just like the way it happened so quickly. Suddenly we've been out here for 16 hours and all this sort of shit. They're kind of like, we've got it covered, but then they fuck it up royally.
Yep.
I love that shot on the road where we get Mars and the guys in the truck. Then they move on and the camera follows.
Yes.
And the police car goes that way and the camera goes with it.
Yep.
And then coming in the opposite direction is Kevin Pollak and his daughter, and the camera picks them up on the way through.
This
really,
again,
really cool shot.
Niftily sort of put together, making us very well aware that all these people are in close proximity.
Yep, and the connections, we're starting to run the connections between them.
And just the fact that the way the guys are acting when they clam up, when they realise there's a police officer behind them, very easy way to say, okay, well, these are the guys we might want to keep our eye on.
Yeah.
And then we don't know yet, but we get the sense from what's come before and what we think, the name of the movie.
Yeah.
We get the sense that, okay, these guys in the other car are going to be the victims of it all.
Yes.
So, yeah, I thought that was, again, just beautifully done by the director and the people putting it all together, just to kind of have it all come together like that and just do it in a neat, short, sharp package again.
Yeah. Nicely handled. I like the way they actually introduced the house. I've kind of got some negatives, and I'll mention this in my dislikes, is something similar to what I said about When a Stranger Calls. This kind of like need to have this fucking house that's got all these things in it just to give us certain beats. This one's not as bad for that, but I like the way they introduce us. They give us the long shot initially, so we know it's on like a cliff top out of the way.
Yep.
We then get a number of scenes that kind of show Dad moving through the house, so we get a bit of layout.
Yeah.
We know where the DVDs are. We know where the fucking safe is. We know where the bathroom is, which comes into play later on. Some of that stuff is really, really well done because we get a sense of where the key pieces are going to be.
Yep.
Video cameras, all the cameras that they've got outside, we get all that before things hit the fan.
Yeah, we get a good sense of where everything is, which is solid. As you said, I love the way that they sort of put together that, hey, this place is just out of the way.
Yes. I also like the fact that things kind of escalate quickly. When the boys get in there, they really don't know what they're fucking doing.
Yep.
And then Mars shoots the cop. And initially I remember thinking to myself when she got shot, I was like, are we just saying, is he just a psycho?
Yeah.
But no, they'd run the plates on the car. They had priors. They had, you know what I mean? Like they had a warrant.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that in a sense. It was better than him just shooting her for something to do.
I have issues with this part of the movie, but I like the fact that, he's in the shit. It's not really the brothers. The brothers have done some stuff, but
the brothers have walked in and tried to do something stupid.
Yeah.
But he's then created the bigger issues.
And the thing is, they run the plates. The brothers do have some issues with the law to deal with, but obviously this guy is, and you get the sense of this, he's got something else, which plays out pretty well to start with.
Yes.
Like, he's got something else going on. He's the one we've got to keep an eye on here, not the loudmouth brother.
But see, that some of that doesn't work either.
Well, it doesn't
As it
work
gets further along, though,
as it keeps going.
We kind of come to this conclusion that, and Tally says something about it, and I'm like, well, fucking duh. Like,
yeah.
like, where are we, mate?
Yeah.
You know, you should have known this. I like the fact that Smith gets knocked out.
Yeah.
No, I'd forgot about that too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I kept thinking to myself, well, how do these other guys play into it?
Yeah.
Because it's pretty simple. You just fucking Smith's alive, it'd be fine. But then he gets cold cocked and he's out. And then we've got that little wrinkle into the mix as well, that we can't just talk to this guy.
Correct. And it makes, it brings up some really good stuff about Willis using that to his advantage and, telling people he's dead and having the other guy at the hospital telling people he's dead and stuff like that. Like, that was good.
They sort of showcase a little bit of Tally's big city type of skills in town when he drives the car in to get the injured officer off the road and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
I like that that's sort of a little bit of a callback to it, to his supposed skills, although they don't bring that up until later. They don't actually bring up his resume, so to speak. In fact, I think the guy on the phone says it to him, doesn't he? He mentions you were 10 years SWAT.
Yeah, I believe so.
And all this sort of shit. So we don't actually know that, but I kind of like the fact that, there's a little bit of him being a hero, even though he's a scarred, clearly kind of not at the top of his game.
He's thrown into a situation where that stuff has to come out.
Yes. For some reason, I got to laugh at it. Fucking rich people.
Yeah.
One guy, I can't remember who it was, the first person.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's one,
fucking rich people.
Someone inside the house. It's fucking rich people. And then it goes to Willis and he says the same thing.
Yeah, I like that.
That was when the security was coming down, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, all the security stuff's coming down.
Yeah.
Now, I kind of like this, but I've got a very large dislike to this. The fact that the little boy can move around the house is a cool idea, I think, to keep him out of... to move around and perhaps become a useful ally inside.
Yeah. Yep.
But there are some problems.
There are.
There are some large problems. And when I mean large, I actually do mean fucking large.
It lands in the very cliched, the fucking let's get everywhere in the house around these air vents, which appear to be big enough for one guy to fucking bear crawl through.
Well, fuck, mate, the kid practically runs through them.
Yeah.
Like, there is no such fucking thing.
No, not as far as I'm
any house ever. Like, that's not how they build houses.
I mean, if the Nakatomi Plaza's got ones that have to be shimmied through, I'm sure this house doesn't need that much air that you can stand up in there. I mean, he was doing mountain climbers. There was a bloke he was on all fours, but he wasn't crawling.
Yeah, exactly. He was fucking working his core. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get to that in some more depth.
Yes.
Fuck me drunk.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I was just
Yeah,
like,
you turn the air conditioning on and blow you out of the house.
Yeah, I know. That's how you fucking shift those pricks out of there. You tell them to whack the aircon on and freeze them out.
I want to know how big the unit outside has to be if the vents are that big too.
I tell you one thing that I was actually quite surprised by and I was pretty happy with. Because, again, I couldn't quite remember how the shady guys got involved.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that he kind of hands it over. They close the house up.
Yes.
They bring in the state guys.
Yep.
And he just hands it over. Like, there's none of this kind of, this is my fucking thing or whatever. And then he
couldn't be happier to hand that shit off.
I don't know. I can see you, mate.
He's like, this is why I'm here, so I can hand it off. I'm at a place with
Do you want to hang around and that? No, I don't. I want to go home.
Yep.
But I like that that's what's forced him back into it. Is that basically we've got your family.
Yes.
You have to get these people out of there.
Yeah.
We need to get this.
And the scene where they do that is one of the better ones, I feel. Like the way that they get him in the car And then I think it's Kim Coates that's doing the speaking there. Isn't it? And he's talking like a negotiator.
Yes.
He's talking like Willis was at the start of the movie.
Yes.
And he's really calm, and he's telling him, we're not going to hurt you if you do this and that. Put your hands up on the roof, blah, blah, blah. And then I love the part where he's handcuffs him, and then he's like, this is for your own good. He's just going to hold on to you. And then they show him the family, and he starts fucking
going off.
And that scene was great.
Really good, yeah.
I thought that was really, really good stuff.
Solid.
And that was, I think, one of the parts where Willis was showing the fucking requisite emotion really well.
Yeah.
Through the physical.
He kind of tears up while he's fucking fighting against the blokes.
Yep. And I think having one of his actual daughters in the role,
it probably helps.
It lends a bit more to it. Like it just gives it a nice little touch.
Now, it's around this point where things start to fall away a little bit.
Oh yeah, I do have less likes.
I have less likes in this period too, but I really like the scene involving the ambulance where they're fucking nuded up and they've got to go out and get him.
Yes.
And then Mars
especially when he
out.
says to the last bloke, you stripped down too. He's like, huh?
So that's right. And you've got Willis has got a gun up here.
Yeah.
So you've got that little piece of tension in there. He might pull that shit out and start going off. You've got Mars popping out, holding the gun on him as he's trying to pick Smith up.
Yep.
And then he just kind of goes bang and then just disappears. I like that sort of shit. I thought the tension was nicely played there.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that Willis is kind of firing up, going, I need to fucking speak to this guy.
Yeah, and it's the first part where he starts to go against, and he pushes this, they do push this a little bit, but he goes against what he's been told to do.
Yes.
But manages to talk his way out of it, and then he's able to play the card of, Smith's dead.
Yeah, and that's a nice
so it's
play.
Kind of, it starts throwing a little bit of back and forth. It's like a card game between all parties,
Is it what sort of game is it? Uno?
It's a game of Uno. It's not, I don't know, canasta or...
Are you sure it's not a game of poker with fucking nudie cards?
Yeah,
I think that's probably more where we're going with.
It's a game of snap with nudie cards. Is that better?
Yeah, it's not quite highbrow enough to be like blackjack with a river and everything like that.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I like the idea of this, and I like what it does to Tally, but the fucking dialogue is horrendous. Like horrendous. Like the sequence where he talks with the boy about the computer game.
Like purely for the dialogue.
I like the fact that he's willing to use the kid.
Yeah.
Put the kid in danger.
Yes.
So he kind of he's talking to him on the phone, and then he just fucking puts his head in his hands.
And the kid's, wearing the same coloured shirt as the kid that died and things like that. So you can tell he's getting the little flashbacks to it, and the way he acts it is pretty good. But
the dialogue's
let's hold back on the dialogue because it needs to be dissected. It needs to be dissected.
I've got something to say about it, but oh my god,
I've got something to say.
As soon as it's said, I'm just like, what? What was that?
Sorry.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah. It really does put a downer on that.
But I do like the idea of him he's willing to make whatever decision it takes.
That could have worked with just a few tweaks.
Yeah.
And again,
Dougie Richardson wasn't available.
We'll talk about it.
He'd received his money and fucked off by then.
Yeah. He's got a bag of notes like Smith does. And he's at the gate negotiating. You give me another bag or I'm not fucking coming to rewrite that. And they said, well, fuck you then.
Yeah, all right. Off you go. This is, I think, one of the better sequences of the film, and I said it at the start, when he tries to negotiate with Dennis. And he tells him basically, I'll take the cash.
Yeah.
I'll take the cash. And then when they finally open the gates, Mars has pulled the fast one and brought the daughter with him.
Yeah.
And he turns to the brothers and says, Smith's not dead, if you fucking come now, you won't do the hard shit,
Yeah.
I know he forced you to do it.
Yes.
And they don't do it.
No.
And I really like that sequence. I think it's really tense. And
to be honest, I think that was where everything was at its peak.
Yeah.
I feel like from that point after that, it never really gets back up there.
No. It starts to go. That's when we start bringing in the fucking FBI.
Yeah. The fake FBI.
Fake
The
FBI.
faux Bureau of Investigation.
I mean, they do try and make a comment to sort of smooth that over.
Yeah.
Like they sort of say, maybe we are, maybe we aren't. And I'm like, of course you're not. Look at you. You look like a bunch of wrestlers.
Yeah. Can I see that badge again? It says FPI.
No, it says Federal fucking Breast Inspector.
Yeah, that's right.
Bumhole.
Federal Booby Inspector. Yeah.
I did like that Mars ends up killing the brothers. And they're both kind of there.
I got a downer on that.
You got a downer on that?
I think it was the right play, but I don't think they should have killed both of them at the same time.
You think you should have killed them separately?
I think that the ending goes better if the older brother is still on the table for at least a few minutes after that.
Yeah, okay.
To complicate Willis's stuff.
Yeah, and also complicate Mars because he still doesn't want to kill anybody. He doesn't want to fucking burn the joint down.
Mm.
So there's some complications there. Actually, that's not a bad idea. I didn't think of that. The younger brother probably had to go.
Well,
just try and crack some emotion out of that.
part, I thought, yeah, good. We've finally cracked that pair apart, and now shit's going to go. It's all on inside the house. But
and
then
the brother's
they
even saying that cops shot him.
Yeah.
Not that he was pushed off.
Yeah,
They're saying the cops have shot him.
They immediately. I mean, even if he knows that Mars did it, that's okay. Just have them both in the house, understanding. Well, fuck, he's not the guy I should have been in this with.
Yeah,
and I'm going to get him for killing my brother. I just felt because what happens is, okay, maybe it complicates it more that we've got Mars and him head to head. We've got Tally. We've got the federal booby inspectors still running around.
And watching them bust into the house, it was definitely the federal booby inspectors. So fucking hopeless. I've never worked for the FBI, but I'm going to assume that these guys are pretty well fucking trained to take this sort of thing on.
I would imagine so. But yeah, I think just for a couple of more minutes of fucking ramping it right up to the max.
Yeah.
Because they do go, as you said, they do go the action route. So a bit of a fucking shootout or a punch-on between those two probably would have fit.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, I didn't really think much about that.
And the other thing is, I've got a few issues with the Mars character in general. But yeah, I'll talk about that when we get to it. But yeah, overall, I think the idea was right.
Yeah, I like the creepiness of Mars when he tries to break through the bathroom window.
Yeah,
and then he just writes "burn it" in his blood.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of very creepy, and Foster looks very, very unhinged by that stage. And he's been stabbed in the face, so he's fucking bleeding everywhere, and like his hair's all out, and like he looks great. And look, I don't particularly love the flaming house stuff in general because, again, I felt it was a little bit too actiony. But some of the visuals are nice. Yeah. There's one of Foster running with the two Molotov cocktails and everything's burning around him. And
yeah, him coming down the hallway it looks fucking fantastic. Yeah. And they play slow-mo for the whole thing.
Yeah. And he drops it onto himself and fucking...
Yeah. That sequence, again, the director did excellent work with that.
He hasn't done much after this.
No.
Which is,
surprising.
Surprising, because I think direction skill-wise, this is top-notch, really. If you're looking... Like, you're taking a lower budget, because it's only a $50 million budget, which is, okay, it's not lower budget, but it's mid-tier budget.
Yeah.
And you're making it look fucking $1 million.
Yep.
That was all I had.
Yeah, I think that's most of it for me too. I mean, I think I'm probably going to have a few more dislikes than you, but I think in general, all the parts were there. Yeah, and
it's a couple of tweaks here and there. Obviously, for me, really I felt more entertained and was probably happy to go along with some things that you weren't.
Oh, look, I was entertained, but I guess the dips and the things that bugged me about the story probably bugged me a little more.
Yeah.
I think that's the only issue.
But if you tweak it a couple of notches here and there...
If we tweak it, we're looking, as I said, it wasn't even for me, it's a couple of things away from a 4-star movie.
All right, let's get straight into it. Bruce's hair, the opening scene. Fuck, Chuck Norris wouldn't wear this.
Well, I was going to say, who told him that Jack Thompson was the look that he should go for? Because he shouldn't have.
Yeah, that's right, mate. The man from Snowy River does not work in fucking L.A.
Yeah. That's the only reason you fucked up the the negotiations because he couldn't hear you through your fucking beard. You're on the phone, you think you're saying all the right things, but all.
But also, if someone grabbed you by the hair, that shit's coming off. Immediately. That's barely glued on.
yeah, correct.
I read in the trivia, it's like it was a very complicated hairpiece. So I'm like, of course. It was. Of course it was. Bruce Willis is fucking bald.
Complicated hairpiece. I thought it'd be easier if you just had to fucking slap it on there and cover everything. Obviously not.
Fucking hell. Absolute nightmare. I'm not joking. The bloke looked homeless.
Yeah.
When we first get to him, I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah. It's funny because him in what should be his dishevelled, non-caring state is, you know, he's got the fucking pit bull razor out every day to keep his hair nice and shaven.
He is perfectly manicured.
It's fucking pristine.
Yeah, I know.
That takes effort.
That's right. Okay. Worst performance of the film. The actress playing Tally's wife.
Oh yeah.
Christ
Not strong.
No.
Not strong.
Not at all. As soon as she talks to me, I'm like, oh, stop. We should have cut this shit
and
out.
especially when she mentions, do you think we're going to get divorced? It's like, well, we don't have much chemistry, so maybe we should.
I think Bruce probably turned around and said, can you do that again? Jesus Christ. He's looking over at the director going, I'm getting nothing. I'm getting nothing here.
I was reminded the other day about Kevin Smith and Bruce Willis sort of butting heads on Cop Out, and they mentioned a few things about how Willis, you know, stopped to tell Smith at times, yeah, I've been in the business this long. What are you going to tell me? What are you going to teach me? And like, was being a little difficult. This was around that period, so I could imagine he'd stop a scene and say, "Hey, come on, let's fucking lift. Let's lift our game here.
You got to lift because this is not working."
Yeah.
And look, I'll give his daughter some props. She's only in it very briefly, but you know we've seen her in some other things, and she's actually not too bad.
Yeah, I think she's
and I think that kind of butting heads thing. That, as you pointed out, makes no fucking sense. We've established there were some deleted scenes that we probably should have kept.
Do you want me to tell you what made zero sense? Like her pissing and moaning about, oh, I hate it when we're here and stuff like that. That's standard fare. That makes sense. I'm a teenage girl. You're my dad. I fucking don't like you. Yeah, perfect sense. I can't wait to get to that period myself. But it's like
it's not far off, mate. I can tell you.
But there's the sequence where he goes outside to kind of
talk to her,
and his line is, "I don't know what pisses you off more,
mate.
me or my tater tot casserole." And she fucking walks off, and I'm like, who wrote that?
If you are dishing up a tater tot casserole, I am fucking walking off too.
I mean, I've dished up some bad meals in my time.
I don't even know you, motherfucker, and I don't want to eat that. I like tater tots, but I don't want them in casserole
I just thought
form.
we've got a scene where we've got one line between these people, and that's what it is. And I was just like, oh man,
fuck, mate. You know,
that is not the first. You know, well, sorry, that's the first example, but not the last of some dialogue that really fucks things up.
To me, the bit that they seem to have cut, the deleted sequence, that's the conversation you're having, aren't you?
I think so.
That's where she should be saying.
Well, I'm assuming the deleted sequence is Willis getting home and going, "Hey, dinner's served. It's a tater tot casserole." if you're gonna talk about the tater tot casserole, at least show me how fucking bad it is.
Started with fucking tater tot casserole hitting the wall.
Exactly.
And she's like, "You're dishing this shit out my breakfast sizzle." I don't want it, I told you. And she fucking walks out.
I'm fucking allergic to tater tots. Stop serving that shit up. And then when he sits down and says, "Oh, I don't know what pisses you off more, me or the tater tot casserole." I understand why you said it.
Yeah, look, can we do potatoes in any other form? Can you give me a hash brown? It's fucking breakfast time.
Just a fucking French fries, that'll do. Yeah, it was just a really strange line.
And that's what I'm saying, that the deleted sequence seems to should have been kept.
Yeah.
Somebody cut it out for certain.
You can tell it's trying to, you know, it's trying to show us those relationships just with standard kind of dialogue, just with the normal day-to-day stuff. But I haven't seen the fucking casserole.
Look, I'm not gonna lie, I don't need to see it to know it's
well,
shit.
yeah, I know it's shit.
I mean, Bruce does not strike me as fucking Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen, does he?
Well, I never would have thought tater tots and casseroles should have gone together.
Yeah, I know, mate. They're
Are they
two
supposed to be
words.
fucking crunchy?
Those two words are mutually exclusive, mate. Especially in the kitchen.
Exactly.
All right. Now, this is a little bit further along because, for me, I dug a lot of what goes on in between most of this.
Yeah.
But when the shady guys arrive to collect the DVD,
Yes.
and they ring Smith and he doesn't answer, so they ring some random fucking guy out in the middle of, I don't know, he's in Florida
They
or
ring
something.
fucking Dr. Claw.
Exactly. And they ring him a couple of times, and I'm kind of like, why are we cutting to this guy?
Yeah.
This should be totally irrelevant. In fact, the shady guy should only be seen in those couple of sequences. The one where he gets him in the car.
Or a fucking voice on the phone. Like,
Yeah,
we
well,
never
that's
go
it.
back to that.
Should be a voice on the phone, except for when the guy puts his arm around him and they hold him in the car. That's it.
Yep. We never see old mate dragged out of that fucking, beautiful looking whatever he's in. So it's kind of like, well, why are we
And
bothering?
he's got
with
no
it?
lights on. Turn the fucking lights on, dude.
Turn
It's
the lights
night
on.
time.
I know you're trying to stay hidden, but it seems like you're at a place where you're pretty well.
But also, who cares if you're hidden? It's
Yeah.
not a twist.
No,
Not part of the twist.
no.
I just didn't like that. It kind of felt like it was going away from the tightness of the action, of the thrills, the thriller elements, by going away to some fucking guy up in the Florida Keys.
Yeah. So here's one for you. I've got mixed feelings on this one.
Is this about casseroles again?
No,
Because
it's not about casseroles. I don't have mixed feelings on tater tot casseroles. I think they're fucking awful. But
tater tots? Yes. Casserole? No.
the issue for me is there's the scene where he goes to the office, the sheriff's office in the small town.
Yes. And he says low crime Wednesday? Or?
The mingling, like, so from what I'm getting is they're trying to establish that he's putting on a front, and he's kind of
saying
there's a bit
cool
of an
and
act,
everything's fine.
but he's kind of separated from these people in a way. But the mingling in the office is almost too awkward.
Fake?
And it kind of highlights to me one of the issues I find with Willis in this period is that he's always kind of got the same sort of stoic, the narrow-eyed look and all this sort of stuff that he doesn't really show. I mean, he gets in there and he has a chuckle and goes on about, it's low crime Monday, let's make it low crime Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel it would have worked better if the fucking rapport with the people in the office looked a little more genuine.
Well, to me,
and then he fucking shuts the door.
Why are
and
we
he's like,
making him so inaccessible to them? To me, isn't it the idea that he's now living out in the sticks, like not living in the sticks, but he's living in a small town, he's doing general police work, and he's kind of healing. You know what I mean? Like, it should be like that.
Well, I see. What I got from that is that there's not much healing. That there is supposed to be a distance between. But I got that when he shuts the door,
and then
he makes a comment
and
to himself, and it's like you get the sense of I'm fucking in this alone. I feel like it would have been better if the fucking tete-a-tete in the office was a little more natural.
Past and dick flick the black guy.
Yeah,
and
well,
told Art LaFleur you haven't done anything good since Jack Death blew your brains out.
That's right. You fucking hit your watch and piss off back to whatever time. The part where he's talking to the guy about the shoes it's good. That's what you need. But it just seems like you need it in a fashion where Willis is kind of like, I'm in charge here, but I'm still, I felt a little closer. I felt it all looked standoffish, and I felt it needed to be a bit more. Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. He seems to be standoffish in that sequence, which I felt like, no. It needs to be warm. It needs to feel like
he's got a mask. When he shuts the door and he kind of just fucking shows that he's in it alone.
It doesn't. It doesn't kind of work because the stuff outside doesn't feel like it's natural.
Yeah. Yeah,
which I'd probably agree with there. There's not a lot of great. One of the big issues with this movie is some of the dialogue's terrible. It's badly played, and it's not one that's quotable a great deal. But just some of the general dialogue sucks.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and so it hurts the film in some ways because the dialogue doesn't sort of do the job that it should be doing.
Yep. Starting
What else you got?
to talk about the home security.
Yep.
What's the point of having 85 fucking cameras if you don't know to lock your Fort Knox-like security up until someone's already in the fucking house?
Question for you too. How do you just jump the fucking fence of Fort Knox?
Well, that's right. Look, it's only what? It's 15... No, it's a bit more than 15 years ago. I've got some, basic security at my house.
I've
got
a couple
basic
of ring
security at
doorbells,
my house.
cameras.
If a fucking fly goes past that thing, something
goes
buzzes. Yeah.
Right.
This motherfucker's got, as I said, he's got everything set up for this shit to close down like a fortress in need. Well, this was the time of need. How did you not know? Shouldn't there be like a fucking beep or something like that himself?
Well, the fact that he misses the fucking camera where they jump the fence.
Yeah. Yeah,
he walks past it.
They do a good job of that standard stuff of someone's looking this way and in the background the camera goes into focus and we see someone. That stuff's great, but logistically it's fucking silly. I don't know.
I mean, it was pre-smartphone, so you weren't getting a fucking text every time someone.
No, but I'm sure you got you still had motion detection back then, like a beep beep beep.
Yeah, it would have beeped. It's an interesting one.
Mm.
The vents in the house. Holy shit. I mean, that's this big and there's this shit.
Yeah.
Like,
massive.
You've summed it up. Nakatomi Plaza the guy could barely get through them. like in hell. If they were any tighter, he's not getting around.
No.
So, why has this place got fucking... It looked like a meat truck.
I thought at one point it was going to be... We were going to get a camera angle that made it look like a fucking Olympic sprint. Two people next to each other.
I mean, I know that they wanted the kid to be able to move around the house, and I feel like there are some payoffs to that.
Yeah.
Him being able to move around to get the DVDs and all that sort of stuff and stay on the move, get the phone.
Yep.
Good ideas.
And
but you needed to come up with a better way.
Yeah. The shot of Mars doing the fucking, the animalistic kind of run... Again, pretty good direction. It looks effective, but it's just so silly.
Yes.
It shouldn't be that big.
Oh, fuck no. and to me...
The hallways were smaller than that.
Well, shit, I'd rather live there. In there.
That's right.
I mean, the kid had his own little play area.
Yeah.
I mean, that shit was fucking tricked out.
That reminded me of, what's that Christmas one that's a bit like Home Alone?
Oh,
the French
yeah.
one?
I can't remember. Deadly Games.
Deadly Games. I mean, Deadly Games is the only one that rivals this. He's got a fucking cavernous.
Rambo's underground caverns are pretty fucking
Rambo's got pretty good, but Deadly Games is the gold standard for that. But this isn't too far behind.
Now the house. Let me come to the house.
Mm.
Like when a stranger calls, they have the house set up to be this fucking palatial thing with these giant vents and shit in it.
Yeah.
To move the story along, which I always find is a bit of a cheat. Why can't you just work with what you have? Like a normal type of house. The kid could have been loose in the house. You should never have actually had him trapped in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
You should have seen him get away.
Yep.
And then move through the house evading them. Right?
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
I mean...
A few times
it's not hugely bad. And when a stranger calls, was much, much worse.
Yeah.
Because it's got all those... The lights go out every time I move from room to room.
When a stranger calls, that shit's impractical. Yeah. I wouldn't know where to sit in that house. Like, do you have just a seat where I can sit down and have a fucking...
Yeah, that's right.
have a drink?
Or do I have to sit and watch the television while a fucking Avery behind me squawks and burps and farts all fucking night? Is that what we do?
Exactly.
Talk about fucking rich people. Jesus.
Yeah.
But, the house... Some of the house stuff bugged me a bit.
Yeah.
It just feels like you can't create tension without having this like it is, when I feel like there are other ways to do it if you work hard enough.
Yep. Okay, another moment small issue for me, but just didn't seem to make sense. So small-time crook Dennis. Small time at this point. I believe jacked a couple of cars. That's the extent of his... Until he decided to get himself involved in a hostage situation. But checks out the TV, understands that there's choppers, the house is surrounded, the booby inspectors will be here shortly. We're in some trouble.
Yeah, that's right.
Then finds a bag of cash and starts whooping it up like none of the other shit's happened.
Yeah, I know. It's like, who gives a fuck about the cash, mate? You guys are not getting out of here in one piece.
Yep.
Like, you know what these... Like, this is that's one of the problems with that. And I know that, you know, hostage takers are usually idiots, right? And so their thinking is that if you give me a helicopter, they'll let me go.
Yeah, yeah.
You know they're not going to do that.
No,
they're going to come for you.
You're in the pool.
Sooner or later, they're coming through the windows for you.
And it didn't seem to make sense because he watched the TV and there was moments where it's like, oh, fuck. You know, he understood. And
they get shot at, don't they, at one point?
Yeah.
They take out the cameras and shit.
Yeah. So I don't mind a bit of the kind of up and down of, you know, there's a bit of frantic energy to him.
Yes.
And him and his brother sort of going different directions with it is good for the most part. But that part I was just kind of like, huh?
Yeah. No, there's a bag of cash.
2 minutes ago. Oh, we're fucked here.
We
Bag
can
of
buy
cash.
whatever
Woo!
we
He's
want.
fucking throwing it in the air.
We can buy our way out of everything.
Yeah.
I don't think so, mate.
Yep.
What else you got?
Well, let's get on to the scene that you were talking about when he's on the phone to the kid. The poor dialogue was never highlighted more.
Planet Xenon.
Well,
is that it?
Yeah, it was
Holy
never
Christ.
highlighted more than when, you know, Willis is getting flashbacks
to the young kid.
Yeah. He's getting flashbacks and he kind of takes the phone away from his ear and looks up at the sky and does everything but kind of goes, ah. And then he gets back on the phone and he's like, yeah, I'm Captain Wilbur. I'm like, oh my God.
Even he looks fucking embarrassed to say
Captain
it.
Wilbur.
Jesus Christ. Who wrote this shit? That's what I would have been saying. You know what? It sounds like it's written by someone who had no fucking concept of computer games.
Correct.
None.
Absolutely correct. And then
just
even
go
when you
down to your
did,
local bloody EB Games
Yeah,
and ask
exactly.
them to fucking punch it up for you.
Fucking,
Oh, for the love of God.
Captain Wilbur.
Oh, it's the
I
worst.
kept giggling at it even minutes after it had passed.
It's the
I kinda
worst
just,
part of the film.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, this is like a lead weight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Holy God.
Because we're supposed to be, that's the moment where we're supposed to be grabbing at our hearts going, oh, you got me. But we're sitting there
Get
going,
me the DVDs, you pain in the ass.
we're sitting there giggling at fucking Captain Wilbur and Planet Xenon.
It's just ridiculous. There needed to be another way to connect them
Yeah.
because that wouldn't have worked. That's not working.
Well, fucking pay someone for the rights to use the names of a real video game.
Final Fantasy or
Fucking
something.
some shit like that.
But also, there are ways you could have done it without needing to look so stupid. Sorry. That was probably a little bit harsh.
No, that's bang on.
That's right
spot
on the
on.
money. The cash negotiation between Tally and Dennis.
Mm.
I liked the idea of that. But
Yeah.
there needed to be some ambiguity that Tally potentially had done this before. He had dodgy dealings in his past. You know, it's not like, yes, the situation of the hostage negotiation had fucked everything up, but they could have had a little throwaway thing about there had already also been talks of misappropriation of money and shit like that.
Yeah, I didn't mind that because I just saw it as
It was him playing the
part of
game with them.
It's part of him telling fibs. Like, I never had anything but, yeah, he's super clean, but now he's in a situation where he's just doing exactly what he needs to do to keep his family safe.
Again,
and this
it
is him
probably
playing.
not necessary.
This is him going, snap, bang.
It probably wasn't even necessary, really, greatly. Although maybe it was the way he gets him to come out, but I just felt like it might have been a nice little twist to things.
Well, I
too.
thought it was good because it showed, right, he's gaining some fucking traction here.
He's getting hold of Dennis.
Yeah.
He's starting to grab hold of Dennis.
And so I thought, okay, well, that gives him what he needs to say, right, if I get the gate open, I can get this guy.
See, it could have also been done with him lying about what kind of deal can be made. You know,
Yeah,
if you
possibly.
come out, if you bring them out,
Yeah.
we can cut deals.
Yeah.
You know, for your sentence and shit. Like,
But look,
we can roll.
I didn't mind that. I just kind of took that and moved on with it a little bit.
Now,
I can see what you're saying.
It just didn't. It felt a little bit. I mean, there's nothing to it there. I mean, I know it's not really for the audience. It's kind of for the Dennis character. That's all.
Yeah.
It's
And
not really for the audience.
in that sense, as I said, it was just something there that we'd seen. I mean, he got super excited. He knew it was fucking, well, don't worry about all these crimes
excited.
we just committed.
Oh, you're
There's $4
giving away
million.
50% of the cash, you dickhead.
Yeah. But that's what I guess that's
like,
what
I'm
it was.
playing
It was like,
hardball. You're getting 50K.
getting 50K. Well, he played hardball like fucking, who was it? Ronnie Silver and his abuse. He played hardball.
Fucking hell.
The ball was hard, and then it was immediately soft.
Yeah. Your idea of hardball, your idea of haggling is to fucking say one thing, and as soon as they shoot you down, you immediately give no.
Like, okay, take it all. Yeah, Dennis comes and says, "Look, I'll give you $5,000. I'm leaving. Here, there's $4 million. Take it. Take all of it.
Take it all. Take it all. I don't need it." Now the mob guys. The mob connected guys in their fucking armoured FBI truck. Holy shit. When that turns up, I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake. Come on. I mean, I know that there's probably no other way to have done that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my thinking would be the mob guys are shady and all they're doing is pushing the pieces, using Tally to push the pieces to the police to kill them. Kill the kids in the house, and it's up to Tally to get the fucking DVDs.
Yeah.
You have to get them, right? Get in there and get them before the cops kill these guys and box everything up.
Well, here's something.
Why send the fucking booby inspectors in their armoured vehicle? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. That's right, because it was him. Although, they did say wait until our guys turn up. But yeah, I think you're right. Surely they try to get him to get it done first before they go charging in there. The other side of that too is, and did I miss something, or why did you not play the card of having the movie that's a remake? Because that seemed really important for like 10 seconds there when the kid goes in and picks up Heaven Can Wait.
And he picks up the Warren Beatty one.
Yeah, but then he picks them both up. And I was thinking, that could have been...
That he accidentally got the wrong one.
That he could have just taken one, but then, the FBI gets their hands on what they want, but it's actually the wrong one because it's the remake, which would have passed. I mean, not many people were jumping bang on and saying Heaven Can Wait. I mean, I knew Heaven Can Wait was a remake, but I didn't even think about that.
Can I ask this question, Jared? Would it have been better... and this is, just me spitballing, that you didn't really see what Smith had done, that he'd put the disc inside the DVD, right? So then you've got the two Heaven Can Waits in play. You don't know what Smith's up to until you start seeing wads of cash and suddenly these shady pricks are involved.
Yeah.
And they're saying, when did you get this DVD for Heaven Can Wait? It's still in the mix.
Yeah.
And it's ambiguous.
Yes.
It's about everything that's involved.
Because I thought that was what was going to happen. I thought the FBI guy was going to get the disc of the Warren Beatty one, but then it was going to be the wrong one and Tally still had a card to play.
Yes.
But,
so I think kind of
it
overplayed
kind of
their
means
hand.
nothing in the end.
Yeah, they overplayed their hand there with Smith.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's still okay if Smith's alive or dead because he's still a pawn in the game. He's still... We know he's an accountant for the scumbags and we get that. But we don't know he put something in the Heaven Can Wait until the shady guys contact Tally.
Yeah.
Say, you need to get this thing.
We could have seen him just do that and move on really quickly and not even, I just feel like it amounted to nothing.
It did, yeah. It amounted to actually.
To be quite honest, that side of the hostage negotiation amounted to nothing. The ending with those guys all masked up and whatever, it was so ambiguous that it just meant
nothing.
Very little in the end.
And that's where, for me, that's where they start going. That's why I feel like the FBI guys get brought in to add this kind of like fodder group in the house to get shot.
Yeah.
And to beef up the action quota. And again, I feel like this is another one of these ones where, well, to make sure that the audience comes to watch this, we have to have Bruce Willis doing all this.
Yeah.
Because the audience won't buy into any of that as him being a negotiator and it's a thriller. Whereas I feel it worked better as a thriller. It would have been better to go as a thriller the whole way.
I think so. I mean, I wouldn't mind a little bit of that stuff, but
You need a little bit, but you don't need tons of it.
yeah. But what we got at the end was just, as I said, I was a little down that we'd set up such a really cool sort of thing going back and forth between the two hostage situations that I thought that we would have at least got a little bit more of what was going on behind the scenes. Just a bit. I understand.
It feels tacked on.
It does.
It just seems to be, we need to wrap up this storyline.
I would actually be interested to read the novel to see if some of this stuff was filled in a little more.
Yeah.
So here's my last one.
Mars.
I've saved this for last because I think this might be where perhaps the difference in our star ratings come along.
Well,
Mars,
part of it's because I'm easy.
Mars in general. Early on, I was okay with it, but the longer the film went on, I just felt more and more like, so these two brothers got fucked up in this situation pretty much because this guy's the Joker? Is that what we're supposed to...
That's kind of what's happening.
Yeah.
And they actually say that they've only known him for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's like, I know that you guys are scumbags and you're into jacking cars and stuff, but it doesn't seem like your bag to do this.
And
right?
so, as a result of that, as we got further and further along, and I got the sense that, Mars is just crazy. That's all it is. Once we kill off both brothers at the same time, my kind of emotional attachment to anything going on
between
in that house was sort of lost. Well, because, as I said, we've got the two hostage situations. We play in favour of this one, and we keep the other one a little ambiguous.
Yep.
So if you're going to do that, for me, the brothers were important. And, okay, killing one of the brothers, absolutely the right move. Killing the other one off straight away and leaving just Mars for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That just, as I said, my care factor for inside the house, you'd almost come to care for the younger brother as much as you did for the two other actual hostages in the house.
Yes.
He becomes one almost.
Yeah, because he was supposed to stay in the car.
Yeah.
And then he got out and left and came into the situation, and now it's all fucked, right?
And to me, he falls under the Willis's no one dies today thing that he's going with. So when you lose him, the impact is strong. But killing the other brother straight away, I felt like they just really butchered that. And then, as I said, Mars is just...
Well, Mars is just a by-the-numbers psycho.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening, which I found a little bit... Like, I just didn't like this sort of going... Where we were going with this was the whole thing with the daughter. Like, I just... That played no part in anything, in my opinion. It didn't showcase that he was smart enough to he had cards to play for the cops as well. Like, I like the idea that he pulled her out when Willis was trying to get them to all come out, and then he comes out with the girl, right?
Yeah, that it works. It
works there.
Works for that.
But the problem with all of
the
that
unpredictable
is it's not
side
showcasing that he's cunning. He did it for cunning purposes. It's using it to say he's in love with her. Like, there's that whole fucking scene near the end where he's...
You're my girl and all this sort of stuff.
That shit is not necessary. And then by the end, he's looking at her and she's swaddled in the wet towel and she looks like Mary. Like it's like... It feels like they're going for like a religious kind of angle. And I'm just like, we didn't need any of this. No. None of this.
No.
In fact, the daughter is almost superfluous.
Yeah, it does become like that, right? Like,
the little boy is necessary.
Little guy's got a role.
He's got a role
to play.
The daughter's got no role to play.
I think that comes as part of that that relationship, which just, as you said, like, it left me kind of feeling flat as well.
I was very flat on that because I wanted Mars to be cunning. And he did.
That's what it was almost
things.
like. Once we discover that, Mars is the one you got to keep your eye on, there should be an element of puppet master, right?
Yes.
Like he's pulling the strings, and the only time he does it is what you said, when he fucks up the negotiation.
Yes.
Everything else is just I'm crazy, and I'm just going to be crazy.
And that would have worked well, that we suddenly turn the tables and Willis has to now negotiate with someone else who is not just going to give in to his demands.
Yeah.
Suddenly he's got this hair trigger guy who's cunning but also psychotic, and he can't just talk him round. He's going to have to use different tactics. That would have been cool.
Like charge in like fucking John McClane and shoot everything up.
Why not? Why not? Is that everything you had?
Yeah, that was it. I mean, we could talk about Captain Woober again, but I don't want to.
Holy shit. That's all I'll say about that.
Fucking tater tot casseroles and Captain Woober.
Yeah, Jeff Talley needs a fucking... He'd buy a book of Jamie's 5 ingredients. Fucking, I mean, I have been leading on that for years. Getting away with it. I mean, last night, Jared, I cooked a crab meat omelette.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it was great. I was a bit gaseous after
it. Would have been good with a couple of tater tots in it. That's what
I wanted a tater tot casserole, but I had to fucking settle.
Mind you, I've whipped up a couple of absolutely sensational fucking meals out of books like that, and then just had served them up to people that said, "Can I have fucking 2-minute noodles instead?"
Yeah,
well,
I don't. Jared, I don't serve them to anyone.
Yeah. You can have 2-minute noodles, but I'm going to take fucking 10 minutes to cook the bastards.
Yeah. I'm going to cook
just
the
out of
shit
spite.
out of it. I'm going to fucking burn those things like you wouldn't believe, mate. So that was Hostage. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify and Podomatic, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au, or on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com. Please rate and review us on iTunes and Podomatic. We're also on Instagram at thrillmepodcastau. Keep an eye on the Facebook page for the next movie that we cover, but it will be Christmas related, Jared. Part of a franchise that we've covered previously.
Had lots of fun with.
Oh, yeah, had a lot of fun with it. But until then, take it easy, and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers.
Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.